This free conference call is provided by Uber Conference. Joining conference now.
Hello and welcome. This is Africa Allah, and you are now tuned into Being Africa Allah. I'm here with Usha and
Sebi.
yes, thank you. I'm here with Usha and Zave, Dr. Sebi's daughters, and today they're going to talk about his legacy, alternative and holistic health options, and so much more. First and foremost, ladies, I want to thank you and welcome you and thank you for participating in today's conversation. Tell us a little bit about who you are and just tell us a little bit about who you are, some of the things that excite you and why you've decided to be a part of this holistic health movement.
I don't think it's something that we decided. It was something we were born into. It's all we know. We've done this since we were very little. I know my first experience of working with an individual was at the age of 11. So I really don't know anything other than this.
Oh,
I'm
interesting.
Usha.
Usha, yeah. So from the age of 11, you've kind of been immersed into this type of lifestyle.
Absolutely. If you're part of that, if you're in that household, it's kind of just what you do. Someone will come over and, Daddy would say, okay, help this young lady. How would you help this young lady with what you know? And so you were just introduced into it in that fashion. It was just kind of, the information. We sat here, we've talked about it, and now you have to apply this to an individual that's actually coming to you and sick. Luckily for me, my first experience, the young lady was the same age as me. She had liver cancer, so it was easy to communicate with her. And I sat there, and Daddy sat back in the corner and kind of watched and said, okay, you do your stuff. And, we just kind of went through it, and I told her she needed Maya and she needed Bolo and that kind of thing. And so when you ask, who am I say, that's who I am. My name is Usha. It means healing. And I've been doing it since I was 11. I know no other.
Wow. Okay. Now, oh gosh, Xavier,
Save.
I'm sorry. You have the X in front of it. Save, tell us.
I know.
Tell us a little bit about your story and how, I'm assuming the same way you grew into it.
Most definitely. When I can remember stories from, just him sharing with me, or just like Usha said, individuals coming over and people getting healed. I think my story is slightly a little different in terms of how I was catapulted into it, because this is all I've ever known. I don't know anything else. You know how some people say, well, it's second nature. Well, this is kind of first nature for me. This is what I know, what I've been taught since, as long as I can remember. And for me, it was why I wanted to start and why I really got into it. And I can remember when I was about 16 or 17 and I first started running his office in Los Angeles, I remember there was a young lady that came into the office. She was actually also, like Usha said, this lady was actually dealing with cancer of the bone. And she comes in and we do the consultation, and, she's crying, and, she's just, the doctor sends her home basically to die. And it's like, this is her only hope. This is her only option. She doesn't have anything else. And, I'm just looking around like, why is this lady crying? But it's because of how I was raised to know that, you take herbs, you get healed. It wasn't a major thing for me. So I can definitely say I was so naive to the outside world and what diseases actually did and how it actually damaged so many families, and people really died from it. Because in my world, it was just like, oh, somebody's sick, call my dad. It's fine. He's,
Right.
you know, you'll get healed. And, you know, when I saw that and, you know, me looking at her like, what's wrong with her? And I can remember having a conversation with him about it. And I was just like, why is she going through this? You know, I was young, teenager. And I'm like, why is she tripping? And he's like, because she has cancer. And I'm like, okay, well, she just has to take the herbs. And he stops and he looks at me and he's just like, no, you don't understand. That people don't know what you know. They don't understand it on a level that you do. They've never studied the body. They've never studied herbs. They've never actually healed somebody. So for me, it's like, remember, I'm one of the youngest siblings. So of course, looking at Usha, looking at Rewind, looking at everyone in the family, it was just like, you know, they call them, you know, you just get herbs. Who cares? Yeah. So by the time I got to that, it was like, oh, wow, okay, wait a minute. This is brand new. I didn't realize that diseases are devastating. I thought it was, okay, you have something, you take the herbs and you're done. And it really made me want to learn about it more and more, about, you know, disease, about medication, how it truly affects the body, and just researching so many different cases for me to get to actually where I am now. And I think that's kind of what really made me want to start, because it was a lack of knowledge for the outside world. And I call it the outside world because that's what it is to me, medication and disease and that kind of thing. It was that moment really where I was just like, wait a minute, I need to kind of reprogram my brain to understand that it's not in everybody else's head. It's not as easy as, you know, take the herbs. They don't know it. Just like he said, if they don't know it the way I do, for you to just take the herbs and get healed. So it made me kind of come down a notch. I guess you can say I was kind of big-headed being Dr. Sebi's daughter and just seeing it from, you know, this point of view. And it really, that experience really helped me a lot, because for the life of me, I couldn't understand why she was so distraught. But seeing that and working with more and more people, and, you know, it was really interesting to me. So that's why, you know, I knew for sure then this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, not just, oh, well, this is what my dad does, or this is what my family does. This is definitely what I want to do. I have to help other people.
Now you hit on a key thing. This is what your family does. So outside of yourself and Usha, does the entire family work in the holistic and natural healing industry?
Actually,
yes.
All of us. Majority of us do. All of us, the older ones, all the way down to the younger ones, because we have, you know, Dr. Sebi's grandson who's also involved in doing little things when it comes to health. And so I would say we all participate in some way or another.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Now, where were you guys born? And you can answer that separately, and say your name when you answer, because you guys sound alike.
Okay.
So you can go.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So this is Ave, and I was born in Puerto Rico, and some years, I want to say about 3-4 years after I was born, I moved to Florida, and I was there, I want to say up until the age of 9, then from there, New Jersey, and then from there back to Miami. So yeah, I'm from more the East Coast, but born in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And this is Usha. And for me, I was born in California, but I was raised in Puerto Rico. So I spent most of my life, like Sabe said, on the East Coast, because I was between Puerto Rico and New York, because he had a large office in the New York area in Brooklyn. So I would always travel up there. But I spent majority of my time when I grew up just in Puerto Rico.
Okay. Now, did you guys spend a lot of time with your father?
Yes.
And that's
quite
Zave.
a bit.
That's Zave said that, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you did spend a lot of time. You did spend a lot of time. Now I know that I've read that he has like, I think about, I know into the double digits of children, right? And you guys fall sort
Yes.
of in the middle end part.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Um, how was that having, all these siblings? Tell me about that experience and how you guys kind of connected. Because I'm assuming you guys are from different parents, different mothers.
Yes,
Yes,
that's correct.
different moms.
Okay. So tell us about that, because you guys are actually working on a project together, and we'll talk a little bit about that further down the line. But tell us about, the relationship between you and your siblings.
Relationship between us and our siblings. I don't know. How would you describe that? How does one describe their relationship? I don't even know how to put that into words. I wouldn't know. They're our siblings. They're our brothers. Yeah.
They're just our siblings.
All
We
of
just
us
know them.
travel. We all travel so much, so it's not like we see them every week or every other week. We all travel so much.
Hmm.
Not often that we, are all in the same room, but we all do get a chance to see one another. But always love, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't know how else to describe it. They're our siblings.
Okay, that's fine. Now, I want to talk about Dr. Sebi's legacy, because a lot of people have called in or sent questions asking about the legacy. Is his legacy being upheld? Are you guys continuing his work? And yeah, and how can people get the Dr. Sebi products?
Well, I couldn't, people have asked that very question about his legacy and if it's continuing. Like we started off in the beginning saying, I wouldn't necessarily just call it the legacy. This is something that we've always done. This is something that we've always known. So to say, are we going to carry it out? This is kind of something we've been doing, and we will definitely continue doing. Usha, was there anything you wanted to say?
I don't think I even really understand the word legacy. I would
Right.
like to hear a definition of what that really means, because I'm confused about it.
Well, the work that he did, are you guys going to follow up and continue with that service to the people of the world, making sure that they are healed? And like you said already, you kind of answered it in the beginning, that this is all really.
Right. We've never done anything else, so it's not like we've had outside jobs and just came in. We've been doing. I did my first consultation at 11. I haven't stopped. So
Same here.
I've been a counselor for 25 years.
Okay.
So I know nothing else.
So
I know nothing else. So will I continue doing what he's taught me and what I've been doing for the last 25 years? Absolutely.
okay. Now,
Exactly. I'm exactly the same answer.
Now, when we talk about holistic and alternative medicines or health options. One thing that comes to mind, I know there was a case in I want to say the 80s or late 80s, early 90s, or something around that way, where the validity of his work was questioned in regards to the FDA. And
Late 80s.
Hmm?
It was in the late 80s.
In the late 80s. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to know, when we're talking about this, because pharmaceuticals is a big industry, and people don't want to hear about the truth, because that kind of goes against the bottom line, right? Um what kind of training does one have to have in order to be considered a doctor of alternative or holistic medicines?
Neither one of us consider ourselves to be a doctor or a holistic anything.
Okay.
What we do is we counsel you based on the information that we've been taught in regards to this particular product line, okay? But we don't claim or put any type of title to say that we have, that we're doctors or nutritionists or biochemists. That was more mom and dad's thing. What we work as is counselors on this particular product line and on the particular diet in which he taught us to carry out.
Okay. So it's more so it's more so consultation. And do you make your clients aware that, you know, this is a consultation, still see your physician or dietitian to find out if these...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do give a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And is that mandated based on the results of that particular case?
No, I mean, this is basic knowledge of that what we have when dealing with any type of person that has any particular pathology, any type of illness. You want to always make sure that you're following up with your regular doctors, because we in no way, shape, or form claim to be a doctor. You have to get a diagnosis in order to come to us, because we have to know what you've been diagnosed with in order to even advise you which one of our products will apply to your particular condition or situation. So we always say to everyone, please work closely with your family physician so that we know and can guide you properly with our herbs.
Okay. Now, what do you see more of? Do you see more of the precautionary people that want to kind of meet this before it happens, or do you see people that come to you as a last resort after they've already destroyed their diet and their health?
Last resort.
Right. Unfortunately, a last resort. We wish that we could see more people come to us, you know, ahead of time, because that would help. Preventative care is always the best kind.
Right.
But unfortunately, most folks come to us once, you know, it's a last resort.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. What are some of the things? What are some of the things that you, or what do you see most of? You know, what are the things that people come to you most in regards to when it comes to health? Is it obesity? Is it cancer? Is it diabetes, liver, kidneys?
Cancer, diabetes, herpes.
Herpes is uncurable.
High blood pressure.
Yeah, for me, my number one clients are herpes.
Wow. Okay.
That's the number one thing that I get a lot of.
Interesting. So, because I've always been led to believe that herpes is the incurable disease.
I think that people are led to believe that all diseases are incurable. Unfortunately, because HSV is so rampant, you have so many people that are dealing with it. So even when, for instance, I can tell you when a few years ago, I want to say I was about 25 years old, I had an individual that came to me that actually was cured. And for me, what I normally do is have you go to the doctor at least 3 or 4 times to make sure that it's completely out of your system, just to make sure it's not a false reading the first time you go.
Okay.
So I usually have you go over the course of 2-3 months and make sure you're actually healed. And that's just, you know, what I always recommend, just for us to be sure. In this particular instance, this young lady that I worked with, she was actually healed. She had her testimonial, she had her before and after test, she had everything, and she got into a relationship and contracted it again. So a lot of people, because again it runs so rampantly, it's everywhere, and they say that it's incurable because so many people are dealing with it. So even when you do get cured, it's so easy for you to contract it again. But all disease is curable, all disease.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, Now tell us some of the things. Well, now that's one of the things. Of course, we're talking about diseases and the fact that all diseases are based on your teachings. All diseases are curable. So there is a cure. So then the question is there a cure for cancer?
I know that it can be reversed. I
It can be
definitely know that it
reversed.
can be reversed. I've worked with many people where, you know, where they've gotten on the program, started, of course, taking their compounds, following the diet, and it was reversed.
And what about HIV? HIV and
Yes.
AIDS? Yes.
Well, I'm
Yes.
going to step in. This is
Go ahead.
Lucia, and I'm going to step in. So I like to go to the just the fact that that was something that was discussed in court, and he won his Supreme Court case back in 1987, using the compounds to help reverse that particular pathology. So when you look at our history as to what we've done, that with the products, we've shown that history.
Okay. All right. Well, wow. Okay. That's cool. Now I do want to ask questions in regards to what are some of the things that people can do generally to prevent having contract or get diabetes, or to stay healthy, I should say. How do you stay healthy so that and you don't end up trying to reverse a disease? You can actually live healthy and happy without having to kind of depend on the medicines and the doctors and all of these other things that they make you take and you get addicted to.
I would say that's a hard one, and I like to be honest. And sometimes people say I'm a little brutally honest. And just so we can identify, this is Usha. Sometimes people say that I'm a little brutally honest, but the reality is we live in a society right now here in the United States that we are eating genetically modified and hybridized foods. So it's very hard for us to achieve that nirvana, that ultimate state of healthiness. There's a lot of argument today in time as to the Dr. Sebi diet guide and the Dr. Sebi list of foods to eat. And we go back and forth with this information. I see folks online having this discussion back and forth, and it gets very tight, so to say.
Confusing even.
But the reality is that the guide is designed to be exactly that, a guide. I say this to all of my patients that call in that ask me about diet. We say and we argue the fact that if you're not eating the Dr. Sebi list, you're not doing what you're supposed to. But the reality is that there is a vast variety of fruits and vegetables. And in the United States, we only have a small, very small portion of what exists globally on this planet as fruits and vegetables. So the list was created as a guide for those folks that are coming in from eating pizza and chicken and beef and pork and this and that and the other that are very damaging. So we brought in something that would give people an idea of what you can do health-wise, but it was not intended to be the be-all and end-all, because there's way too many fruits and vegetables that exist in certain countries that we don't have access. Does it mean that those foods cannot be eaten? Those foods can be eaten. We have to be careful and really pay attention to what and the reason why this guide was created, and not to make it as
A
if
law.
you're not right, that's a perfect word.
Just the law. A lot of people, they say, and to get back to what you were saying, this is Abe speaking. You were saying that is there a way to kind of prevent these diseases?
Yes.
If a lot of people were to research Monsanto, and just like Usha said, I say this to every single customer of mine. I say, research Monsanto, understand GMO. What is GMO? You have people, just like Usha saying, going back and forth, and they've created this very hostile, for me, very hostile environment when it comes to the quote unquote alkaline list. If you're able to eat certain fruits and vegetables in the wintertime, certain fruits and vegetables in the summertime, that means it has been genetically modified in order for you to now consume these fruits and vegetables on these off seasons. I remember growing up in Florida, or even being in Puerto Rico, there's certain times when that avocado, we can talk about just the avocado, it is not ripe until September, October. You are not going to get any avocados prior to that. And it's only going to last you for a short while, maybe up 2 months. And now you have people eating avocado year round. How is this possible? So when you say alkaline, what does that mean? Yes, we know we need the more alkaline foods, but unfortunately, just like Usha explained, with what we are exposed to here in the United States, there's no such thing. So to say, okay, well, eat this and you're definitely going to be able to prevent all disease is actually impossible at this point, unfortunately, once again. So, it's kind of difficult to just say, okay, well, if you follow this guide, you're going to be 100%. Because, for instance, with the guide that is out there, that is circulating, you have things like, the garbanzo beans, which is very starchy. You have the new form of avocados, which can cause a lot of stomach irritation, along with the kale. You have people over consuming oils, and even this agave that I definitely don't recommend, because I did my own research on it about 10 years ago, and I found it to be worse than sugar. So it's a lot of things, even within this guide, that, that can cause damage long term if you're over consuming. So there's no real list to say, okay, follow this and you're going to have the best health ever. It's not possible with what we're exposed to.
Now, I'm glad that you said the agave, because I've actually been on a few talk shows where they talked about agave and how it helps you, and that diabetics can consume this. And I'm thinking, this thing tastes sweeter than freaking sugar. So
right.
I'm like,
once upon a time. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I just don't see how this is healthy, because it's sweet.
Well, there was an agave. When agave first hit, when it first hit the market, and the average person was aware of agave, I want to say about 13 years ago,
Okay.
When it first hit, and it was in Whole Foods and it was everywhere. I distinctly remember, and me being in California at this point, getting the pure blue agave nectar from Mexico. It was spectacular, and yes, people with diabetes were able to consume it, but there was a short while after that where it was no longer that pure blue agave nectar. It was changed into something else, as they do anytime something goes global.
Of course.
It was completely changed, and then diabetics weren't able to consume it, because I distinctly remember working with people one-on-one where they were just like, this is magic, this is amazing. And I would explain to them, it's a nectar, so it's sweet to you, what we've been programmed to know as sweet, but it's actually something very good for you. That cactus plant is an amazing plant.
So
it has so many different. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What about just getting the cactus plant?
I mean, if you're able to get the real agave, or nopal, or nopales is what they call it, I think it's a great source of iron. It's one of the best vegetables I can really talk about.
Now, you said that it has advantages. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Because a lot of people fail to realize, like you said before, consumption of anything, whether it be good or bad, in abundance is harmful to the body.
Um, for this particular plant, I wouldn't say that it really has any disadvantages, especially because it is not starch based like the spelt, for instance. This is actually something really good for iron. So I couldn't say that if you overconsume it, there would be any form of damage or negative effects. It's actually one of the best vegetables out there, one of the best foods out there to consume.
Okay. Now, we touched a little bit on the alkaline diet, and I want to go back to that because I find myself in the food store on a daily basis, going into the veggie aisle and just looking at the fruits like this. I don't know what to buy because I don't know what's real. And I have a client that we always, and anytime we go out to eat, I feel and those are one of those people that hold you to the bone and say, this is what you have to eat and you can't eat that, and why are you eating that? It's fake. And I'm sitting there like, so what am I supposed to eat? Because everything on this menu is fake. Or everything in the store is fake. So what is it that I'm supposed to eat? How do I eat to live without dying?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Usha.
No, by all means, you go.
Okay. I often tell people, look, just like our Father has taught us, the compounds that we have, this is actual food. What we're getting out there is not. It is cell food. It is for your cells to thrive. It is not what we've been taught to believe is eating. This is something that actually nourishes. So when you consume this, along with even the foods that are out there, you are able to thrive. So when people come and they say, well, what do I take? What are the different foods? I couldn't answer that. We're exposed to everything. I can only tell you, or we can only tell you, take the compounds, clean your system out, start fresh every month, basically, because you're going to eat. It's unrealistic to say, okay, well, fast for the rest of your life and just take herbs. That's not going to happen. So if you are going to consume the foods, at least take in something that is nourishing, such as the sea moss, the fucus, the bolo, the viento, and I'm just naming some of the different compounds that we have that we know of to be actual food, actual cell food.
Okay.
I like to say, and this is Usha, I like to say to people, eat the lesser of the evil. So get down, still use the diet guide, not to say, and just so that people understand, we're not saying not to use the diet guide or eat whatever you want and take herbs, right? But let's try to consume the lesser of the evil. So if we know directly that this particular fruit or vegetable has a high acid content, let's try to minimize the intake on that particular one. So that's why we gave some of the guidelines so that you would have an idea in case you had not studied on it yourself, that you would have some guidelines as to, okay, here are some of the really, really negative ones that are going to affect your body, and here are some of the ones that you can consume with less damage and less effects to the body, because it all boils down to we're all eating cardboard boxes because it's genetically modified, it's hybridized, and so we're eating cardboard boxes. So let's try to eat the lesser of the evil. Let's not run out there and do, like I said, high acid content foods, because that's going to be the most damaging.
And high acid content foods would be, and these are for people that have no idea and want to start today. What are some of the things that we as African Americans and or Afro-Caribbeans eat, the majority of that may actually be harmful to us?
I'm just gonna say this, as people, period, we should not be eating things that are high acid, such as your rice, your pastas, your breads, white flour type foods are very high in acid content. They break down the mucous membranes within your system and cause all kind of toxicity. So we want to stay away from things of that nature. We would say, let's do the alternative. And what are some of those alternatives? Quinoa, spelt, amaranth, kamut. Now let's be clear, they're still starches, but they're lower on the glycemic index as to the negative effects that will happen within your body. They still are starches, just not as affecting.
Okay.
So that's one of the places I would say, just be aware.
So not to be a food Nazi where you're sitting here saying, oh gosh, I have to stick to this. I have to stick to that. I can't eat this. I can't eat that. You're saying to be aware of what you're eating, because at the end of the day, the majority of the foods that we are exposed to globally are genetically modified because of population control or whatever it is that they need to do in order to make sure that we can feed the world, right?
Right, correct.
All right. So with that being said, there's two questions that I have, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about your project that you have going on in Atlanta, Georgia. People want to know, have you guys taken over the California office? And if so, are those products still authentic and do they still work?
This is Ave speaking. No, we don't. We haven't done anything with the California office.
Okay.
And honestly, we wouldn't know about it being authentic or not authentic.
Okay.
We can only vouch for the compounds that, our fathers taught us how to make. So that's kind of where we are in terms of, making the compounds and offering and that type of thing. It's more with the ones he actually taught us how to produce.
Okay. Now, you guys are working on a project in Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing at that particular location.
Okay, so this is Usha, and our project is, I don't know, are we still working on it? No, I don't think so. We're fully operational and we're open. We opened up a small shop here in the Atlanta area in Doraville. We are located at 6037 New Peachtree Road in Doraville. And we have taken two sides of what Dr. Sebi created. So in his early time, let's say early 80s, late 70s, he created the Fig Tree product line, which is one aspect. And then he moved on and created new products, and he encumbered the Viento, the green food, the tonic electric, and a number of new products that he brought into phase. And so what we wanted to do with the new office that we have, which is the Usha Healing Family, we wanted to encumber both sides of what he created, his original product line, along with his newer items, and we wanted to bring that and make that available to everyone in one central place. And so we opened up the office called Usha Healing Family here in the Atlanta area.
Okay. And now with the Usha Healing Family location, do you have to set an appointment, or is it a walk-in, or do you have products for sale online? How does it work?
You can come in. You can definitely come in anytime. We're available Tuesday through Saturday. From Tuesday to Friday, we are there from 11 to 5. And on Saturday, we're there from 12 to 6. Anyone is welcome to come during those business hours. We have both product lines. If you need a consultation, we do ask that you call and make an appointment, and that way we can give you a private consultation, because if you come into the office, it's a lobby area and we have people walking in and out. So we want to be able to give quiet time, private time to those individuals that want to talk and discuss their individual conditions. So give us a call and we'll be happy to set you up with an appointment.
Okay. So, what about people that are overseas and want to participate in the healing process, or want to actually begin their process in changing their lifestyle, and using alternative natural resources to kind of help that along?
Well, we both have um, customers or clients that are global because I know I have a few people in Ireland, I have a few people in Africa, England, and different places. And I know Zave also has several people that are international. So we invite them to do the same thing. Come call in. You know, if you can't come in, call in and we'll do a consultation over the phone. We ship internationally, so we're more than happy to ship anything through the post office for you that you may need. I don't know, Survey, if you have anything you want to add.
No, that's correct. I mean, we have people as far as the Netherlands, somewhere closer, Canada. So it really doesn't matter where you are. If you're able to contact us, then we can definitely, address you over the phone. I would say about 50% of our people, 50, maybe even 60% of the individuals that we work with are over the phone, and we ship everywhere. We use UPS, we use FedEx and USPS, like Usha was saying. So we're able to take care of anyone, no matter where you are.
So the first step is a consultation, or can you just read up on
Yes.
the products and then decide, hey, I'm going to try this? What do you suggest?
No, we always suggest, just so that we know that you're able to accomplish your health goal,
Okay.
whatever that is for us. So what we would recommend, of course, would be a consultation, just so that we're able to properly guide you, because everyone's body is different. Everyone, even if two people are dealing with diabetes, it also depends on your height, your weight, how long you've been dealing with it, if you're on medication or not, all those different types of things. So we always like to make sure that we are taking care of you as an individual, so that your needs in particular are being met. So yeah, we do normally recommend that consultation.
So this isn't something you just look up online and say, "Oh, I'm going to try this product right here because I read the details of what it does and I think that this is going to work for me." You have to do it you have to actually have some type of consultation so you can make sure that it's working.
If you're dealing with a particular disease, yes.
Mhm.
If you're just wanting to try a couple of the compounds or a couple of the over-the-counter compounds, the ones that are sold separately, you're always more than welcome. We always want for you to call in and just, get any one of your questions answered, just so that, you're going in the proper direction. But yes, we do prefer that you do a consultation, just to make sure you're taken care of properly.
Okay, and are the consultations free or do they cost?
I'm going to let you take that one.
For me, if someone is disabled, if we're dealing with a senior citizen, then typically it is free of charge. But if it's not those types of situations, then it's about $50 for a 30-minute to an hour consultation.
Okay. And then that's in addition to the compounds or whatever you prescribe to the client.
Well, normally, if after the consultation is done, you do decide to get on the program, then that $50 actually goes towards your treatment.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that sounds fair. $50. If you decide to waste your time, then you get $50. If not, then that goes towards your actual product line or whatever it is, your treatment that you're going to be using for however long the duration of that is. And how long or how often do people need to take the compounds in order to maintain their health?
That definitely varies. Everyone is so different. I've worked with individuals where they're on the compound for a year and a half, and some people as little as 30 days. So everyone is so different, and that is one of the reasons why we like to do the consultation, just so that we know, okay, well, this is what you can kind of look forward to in terms of your time span being on the program, because it's so different for everyone.
Interesting. All right, now tell everybody what the telephone numbers is again. Tell them what the telephone number is so that they can contact you if they're interested in getting a consultation or if they have any questions in regards to their health, as well as how can people reach you once again. Give us the address of where you're located.
The telephone number is, one of the telephone numbers is 305-910-7624. The other telephone number is 786-617-7470. And that address again is 6037 New Peachtree Road. And that's Doraville, Georgia, 30340.
All right. And you know what? Before you guys leave, I do have a few questions. I have a few questions that are not health related, but just give us a sense of who you are as individuals. Now, everyone listens to music, right? And you can tell a lot about a person based on what they listen to. So I'm going to ask you, what are the last 3 songs that you listened to? What are the last 3 songs that you listened to? And yeah, both of you can answer that question, and then I have one other question.
This is Sade. I was listening to Sade. What else was I listening to? Gosh, it slipped my mind. I know Sade, and another one was TLC from the 90s. And I can't remember the other, but Usha, go ahead.
Mine is going to be a little bit different. I was listening to Jay-Z, The Story of OJ.
Okay.
And then the other person that I was listening to recently is Mia, and what song was that? That was California. And one that we did have in common, which is Sade.
Right. And I didn't even name the songs. I just said the artists. But yeah, those are typically the artists. Kind of stuck in the 90s for me.
No Ordinary Love by Sade.
Oh, wow, that was it. That's so strange. Yes, that's what I was listening to.
Well, I guess that's the sisterhood, huh? Now, all right. So you told us your 3 songs that you recently listened to. Now, tell me your top 5 artists in no specific order, just your top 5 artists. And it doesn't matter what genre it is.
Oh, so you can go.
Well, you heard where I grew up, so sorry. It's going to be a little Latin up in there. So top 5 artists, Mark Anthony, Luis Miguel, definitely Sade, Anita Baker, and then I gotta say Jay-Z.
I was gonna. That's so funny because one is definitely. I have to say Sade. I have to say Jay-Z. Definitely TLC. With someone else, it was so funny because a top 5 artists of all time. And I want to put Guapale up there. Definitely. Who else? Who else can I think of? What'd you say?
India Irie.
India Irie. That's true. That's true. India Irie.
All right.
There you go.
Is there anybody else? I can't think of anybody else right now.
Well, it sounds like you guys' playlist is very eclectic. Hopefully we'll be able to check you guys out at the Usha Healing Family Center in Doraville, Georgia. In Doraville, Georgia. Uh, Again, are you guys on social media? If people want to follow you on IG, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Yeah.
We do have a, but I don't know it. Do you know it?
What's that?
The Instagram?
No. I know I have one separate Instagram, Next Gen Herbal Products. But on Facebook is where people typically follow us.
Okay.
So yeah, they can definitely follow us on Facebook.
All right.
Usha Bowman Adams on Facebook, and Saveris Bowman
Chapman. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us and giving us a little insight into your lives and the alternative and holistic health options that people have available. I encourage all of you that are tuned in and are sharing and listening to please give them a call and or visit their website for more details on how you can better your life and live longer. Let's eat to live.